Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest for you. Our guest has traveled around the country for almost 10 years as an evangelicus, preacher, trainer, and keynote public speaker. They have served as a pastor for over 10 years, both lead, senior, and staff pastor, and has served in almost every department of the church. He has accomplished over 10,000 hours of consulting, training, and coaching within the church and businesses worldwide, including the Fortune 200, where he has won awards for that. Our guest has started, led, and co-led multiple ministries and businesses. His leadership roles include the title of Senior Pastor, President, Director of Operations, State Training Coordinator, Performance Coach Manager, Associate Pastor, and many more. Our guest holds a degree in church leadership and with a minor in psychology. He's married with one child and lives in the Boise, Idaho metropolitan area. Spends most of his free time with his family like a good guy and is outdoor as much as he can. So please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ioannis Gratsinopoulos to the show.
Hello, everybody. And Phil, thank you again for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm very interested in learning a bit about you and what makes you tick and why you started into this world of helping and starting businesses and that. So let's just quickly introduce yourself to our audience so that they can know you from your own words.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's funny hearing somebody read my bio. Those are all true statements. I've had a lot of accomplishments over the years. But I never set out to get where I am. I just tried to keep my focus on following the Lord, doing the right thing, and not fighting the current of success, which if I get a moment, I'll talk more about. And so just seizing opportunities that came up that the Lord presented. And I often marvel at where I'm at today. Like, wow, I can't believe the journey that I've been on. And it started with very humble means. It's been a lot of hard work. There's no way to get around that. Some late nights and early mornings, and sometimes the two crossing, where sleep does not take place. But it's been great, and here we are today.
I want to talk about that. Like, I want to go back to the beginning. Like, what was it that started you on this journey to become an entrepreneur like you are today?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'll talk about my Christian faith for a moment, just because it launched it. I met Jesus when I was 15. Like met him. I was in the back of a truck. It was just me. I thought me and no one, and then it was me and him, and it absolutely changed my life. He's real. He died for our sins. He loves us, and I knew at that moment that I was called to follow him and help people. I didn't really know what that meant, and I knew after about a year, I knew I had a calling to get out and travel and speak. I come from a long line of public speakers. All right, maybe not that long, but long enough. And what started to happen is I finished college. I got out. I'm traveling and I'm speaking. And I'm speaking to these people, but it was the leaders who were listening the most. I'm speaking civic events, public service events, church events, and the leaders would call me up. The leaders would pull me aside and say, "Hey, I heard you say this, this, and this. How do you do this? Hey, what if I did it this way? Hey, what?" And they were looking for a sounding board. And so I just let them be a sounding board, or have me be a sounding board. And so they're bouncing these ideas and they're talking, and I'm just being honest with them. Well, wait, why would you do that? How about going this direction? This was way before there was anything called coaching, before coaching was even sexy, let alone alive, before consulting. I mean, we're back years and years, decades ago. But there was this need. Leaders were hungry for somebody they could just bounce some ideas off of, that they had some relationship with, that they knew understood some things and could challenge them. And what was interesting is the best challenges come from the simplest of concepts. It didn't matter that I didn't have experience where they were. Does 2 plus 2 equals 4? 2 plus 2 always equals 4. So when somebody looks at me and says, hey, I'm thinking about a brand new building campaign. Awesome. Do you have that money? No. Okay. Do you have the revenue to support that money? No. I don't think you should do a building campaign. But to you and I right now, and to the listeners, they're like, well, why is that landmark? Because when somebody's emotionally invested in a bad idea, they lose the simplicity of everything around them. And so I just stumbled into this, found there was had a propensity to do it well, God-given talent. And over the years, it's just been honed and honed. I haven't been, I really didn't do it as a full-time vocation until about 10 years ago. And even then, the same thing. I kind of fell into it. The Lord opened the door for it. And here I am coaching these managers. Um, and just looking at them and going, and Phil, I'll tell you, this is probably one of the biggest things. And again, it's as simple as 2 plus 2 equals 4, but you can't believe how landmark it is. I'm looking at these managers. I've never actually done their role, which
Mhm.
would people would always be like, well, why are you coaching? I'm like, all right, well, just sit down with me. And and they're telling me about what they're doing. And I just asked them the question, well, is it working? And they go, well, and I said, well, no, wait, just tell me yes or no. Is it working? And they'll say, well, no. And I said, well, then why are you still doing it? It was just like that. It was dead silent, just like that. And you would have thought I was like E equals MC squared. I mean, they're literally like, oh my gosh, why am I still doing it? And I'm like, I don't know. That's what I asked you. And then all of a sudden, and you can see it. We had charts. We could see in the performance. They got it. Why am I still doing that? They just started making changes and their performance started to skyrocket. Did I need to tell them changes? No, because they're accomplished, brilliant people. I just needed to get them to think in a simple, rational way because their emotional investment was sucking out their ability to go, wait, this isn't working. Why am I doing this? Yeah, why are you doing that? What would you do if you weren't doing that? Huh. I'd probably do this and this. Have you ever tried that? No, you should try that. And then they come back to me and they're like, it totally worked. You're amazing. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm really not. I just needed to get you out of the stuck mud you were in.
I like that. But what you're doing is uh is amazing because you're allowing them to step back and not to see the forest because they're so stuck at the tree. They're their tree. They don't understand there's thousands of other trees exactly like it that can grow. So you just need to step back and you're just helping them pull back, which is amazing because it's very hard for people to have that ability to step back.
It's very hard for people to have that ability. And let me give some signs.
Mhm.
You said something interesting, right? They're looking at their tree. If if you can't remember the last time that you've asked yourself, why am I doing anything? That's a sign you're staring at your own tree. If you haven't changed or challenged the systems you have in place in at least a year, maybe more, you're staring at the same tree. If if your SOPs and your manuals have dust on them because everybody knows how we do it, you're staring at the same tree. If you don't even have an SOP in place, and some people are like, Yanni, what do you want me to do? Change things all the time? Oh, that's the point. Everything around you is changing all the time. So if you're not changing at least some of the time, you're not keeping up with the change all the time. I use this example. so often when I talk with owners. Most people don't know who invented the digital camera. It was Kodak in the 70s. Kodak, the filmmaker, like the ching film, and I develop it.
The emperor of film, pretty much
The
until the 90s.
Yes, they developed it in the 70s, and the executive said, that's not going to take. Why would anybody want to look at their pictures on a TV screen? Now that sounds asinine, right? Why? Because everything around them was changing, and they're like, we don't need to change. Okay, change or die. And so I'm not telling you have to throw every system you have into chaos, but everything is changing. If you and I, Phil, got in the DeLorean and went back 5 years, business was done differently 5 years ago. Oh, well, that's because of a pandemic. Okay. And 5 years before that, oh, well, that's because of the housing crisis. Oh, okay. And a few years before that, oh, well, that's because of 9/11. Okay.
Proving that everything's changing. There's events all the time.
Yeah. Are you hearing yourself? Okay. Sorry, Phil. I get passionate about this.
This is what I love, because I know my audience. So brief, the audience is someone I used to be, where I was 5 years ago. The person stuck in the mud who didn't take the chances to change because they didn't know. Thankfully, the pandemic happened, and I was like, "Oh my God, yes, I can become have the freedom that I want because of entrepreneurialism." And then I said, "Hey, I need to interview these entrepreneurs because I don't know anything about entrepreneurialism." So my first couple seasons was me learning, and now it's me getting people on who do all these amazing things to showcase how anybody can be a digital entrepreneur. And I love having someone who helps others view the world like, hey, you have to keep changing, because that's what entrepreneurs do. They keep falling forward. So like you
falling forward.
You keep hammering home, like, if there's dust, if it's been a year, every year, take a look at your system. See, are we at the optimal thing? Are we at optimal? Is this sufficient for the business? Is everything pushing the business forward? Like, and not having an SOP is just maddening. Maddening. I know I have about 3 episodes from season 1 and 2 that talk about SOPs with guests on how important SOPs are for your business, for your podcast, for everything. So I love having someone who's just yelling at them, because it's true. If you're in, even if you're not a digital entrepreneur or an entrepreneur yet, if you're not constantly evolving as an employee and learning something and staying stuck in the same position, you're gonna get pushed out the pasture. You're gonna change. You have to constantly keep looking to, how can I improve myself and become more valuable to the company, and then take those skills, and when you're ready to go off, become the boss of your own company.
Phil, it's so true. And when I work with smaller companies and businesses and ministries, I often I often take them to some of the biggest, because the biggest, what makes the biggest successful company successful is they replicate solid principles. I'll prove it to you. Amazon owned the market of web-based market purchasing for years. I mean, hands down, for years. So why didn't Amazon do what Kodak did? Hey, we're the leaders. What do we need to do anything differently? No, Amazon continues to innovate. Well, but it's so seamless, you don't even think about it as innovating. So for example, Amazon is Spotify's or Pandora's or Netflix. Amazon's one of their leading competitors. What? Why? They're an online marketplace. Okay, well, Amazon's over here selling music, and they're looking at how these guys are selling music or these guys are selling, and they're going, oh, well, we can do that. We have everything we need. Oh, well, let's do that. And now but Amazon has this incredible offering to go, oh, well, how about this? Join Amazon Prime, and we'll give you a bunch of that for free.
I love Amazon's value stack is something that is beautiful. On top of it, not only for the consumer, the regular everyday consumer, if you look at the back end, what they offer businesses with Amazon Cloud,
computing that you can have access to the same things that are running Netflix, that are running other companies, and you can build massive businesses off it. That
And why would Amazon do it? Because Amazon's sitting there going, wait, we have dozens of servers, hundreds, thousands of servers. Sell the servers. And literally, like if you walk into an Amazon building, be careful, because if you're not holding it, they're going to sell it. I mean, honestly, right? And then they're looking at this and they're going, well, wait a minute. Why are we paying FedEx and UPS? How tough would it be to just hire our own delivery people?
well, they just followed what Walmart did.
Yeah.
Walmart did the same thing with their trucks for their deliveries. They have the largest truck fleet in the world, probably, and they're the only ones who technically can compete with Amazon for delivery, because there's a Walmart in nearly every town. They can get you within the hour delivery nearly.
And watch this. Walmart is such an interest. Watch this. I love that you went there. And I'm going to bring this back down to small business in a moment.
Mhm.
Walmart's revenue skyrocketed through the pandemic. Now, again, let's get back in the DeLorean. If I took you back 15 years, 20 years, and I said, hey, I'm going down to Walmart to buy groceries, you would have been like, what? That's ridiculous. Nobody, no. We go down to Walmart to buy car parts and underwear.
Yeah.
And Walmart goes, dude, they're here buying car parts and underwear. They need milk and eggs. Let's sell them milk and eggs. And so Walmart adds this offering on and positions itself as a market leader, crushes everybody in the pandemic. Why? Because if I'm going to go to the local grocery store, or I'm going to go to the place where I need car parts, underwear, eggs, and milk, I'm in a pandemic. I'm going to go to the single place, not the multiple places, because this is what. And why are these companies doing this? Because they are constantly, this is Apple's big thing, right? They are constantly going, what's working? How can we do it better? What's not working? Why are we still doing it? And they're constantly asking these questions. Take a step back. I've been on calls with some of Walmart's, with VPs at Walmart and some of the biggest companies in the world. And I'm telling you, they are relentless at taking a step back. What do we do well? How can we do it better? What are we not doing well? Why are we still doing it? And so that's literally what I do for companies. Well, why does anybody need you, Yanni? Because you're not doing it yourself, number one. And number two, because those companies have a culture of the moment they realize an idea, they throw everything at it. They don't need the accountability that the smaller entrepreneur does. Because the fact of the matter is just because you see clarity doesn't mean you act on it.
Very true. What tip would you have for someone who's looking to start their own business, to be their own entrepreneur?
It's a great question. Can you hear how Phil and I are talking about this? Right? We are not Bueller. Right? We're fired up. Now, some of you are listening to this going, oh, that's dorky. Yeah, it probably, this is legitimate fired up. Like, this gets me excited. You want to be an entrepreneur? Find the things that get you fired up, that you're passionate about, and throw yourself into it. Here's why. 1,000 reasons. I'll give you one of them. When it's 2 a.m. and you're trying to get something done because, man, you need this for the next phase in what you're doing, and that will happen. If you're not passionate about it, you will throw in the towel at that point. You'll be like, why am I doing this? I can make more money. I can do other things. I don't need to give this time. But when it's something that you're passionate about, you're going to throw yourself into it. And the fact of the matter is, I challenge, could you make more money? You definitely couldn't have more freedom. You definitely couldn't be in control in the way that you are, but you've got to find something that you're absolutely passionate about, and then find a way to monetize it. It's not that hard. And if you want proof, I had a friend who just was talking about the explosion of copywriters,
Mhm.
which if you've been on social media, especially LinkedIn, you've seen people offering copy all the time,
Oh
right?
my God.
All the time. And I got to be honest with you. I'm like, copyright. I had to look it up. I'm like, why do I need you? What is this? But this is a person who had a talent, who has a passion, who goes, wow, these people all suck at this. I'm going to monetize it. Hey, I'll do this for you for free. Some people are great at it and they're like, oh, I freaking hate doing this. Great. Find something you're passionate about and monetize it. How? When you find another person who needs it. That's it. That's how you start a business. Find something you're passionate about, a way to monetize it, and then go find the people who desperately need it. You now have a business. Congratulations, you're an entrepreneur.
I love it. It's that simple. It's not easy. There's a lot of hard work in it, but it's very, very simple. And especially with the internet, it's even easier because you can connect to really anybody within moments. Um, what memory or what when do you have that cemented why you do what you do?
um, so I work with businesses and I work with pastors. In fact, if you go on our website, our homepage is like links to 3 homepages. Like, who are you? Are you a business? Are you ministry? Do you want me to come speak? Right? And so the reason why I say that is I'm gonna probably my biggest win comes out of the ministry side of it, and it's the moment. It's the moment, and I'm not giving you one story because it's the moment I live for. It's the moment where somebody goes, oh wait, that's it. They go, oh yeah.
Oh no, it's so much more than an oh. I know the
It, it
moment. I know the
it
moment.
is. It's that moment where everything we've been processing through clicks. We haven't arrived. No, we've just started the process, right? But but that moment where it clicks, and oftentimes they will repeat back, but like lost in space, like looking up, they are 1,000 miles away, and they're, oh, so you're saying, and they're repeating back to me something I've probably said to them 14,000 times. It's totally in their own words. And I go, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And the fruit of that, um, it's hard as a coach. I can't give a bunch of details, but I can say I've had clients who have arrived at the place that we first talked about. And when we first talked about it, it was literally like, okay, I'm my goal is to travel to the center of the Milky Way. That's really what it felt like to them. Like my goal is to be, it was like I'm working with Jeff Bezos before anybody knew his name. Like, yeah, I have this website, it's local to this area, and we sell crap online. Awesome. Do you want to take over the world with it? Yeah, I do. Do you think I can? Totally. And so I've had clients get to that place where they're like, I'm here. And I'm like, I know. How awesome is that? Right. So
Oh,
those are probably my 2 moments of, yeah, that I want to do this again.
I love it. Those are the best. We're gonna jump to the spark question. When I explained this, you were very excited for it, so I'm very love that spark, of course, from the boys over at Seek Discomfort. Make sure you go there. It's to spark conversations with strangers. And how do you like to recharge your energy?
Ooh. That is changing for me. Speaking of change. Um, I I used to be relentless at doing, but doing fun stuff. Like still as passionate as I am about work, but it was almost like shutting my brain off by playing basketball or playing golf or being with friends or just right doing things with people, like you read my bio, being outdoors, let's go swimming, let's go hiking, let's go and do these things. And by investing in these things that are fun, I'd shut my brain off to work, and it would just recharge my batteries. As I've gotten older, it's not that that's not doing it. It's that I'm realizing it's not filling it all the way. There was still a component, a piece missing. And for me, that piece is getting alone in quiet with the Lord and just spending time with him, which is totally counter of the way that I felt like I was wired. But see, it's funny. We'll go back to the very beginning. To answer your question, I'm doing the same thing. Hey, what's working in my life? What isn't? What's working in my business? What isn't? What's not working? Why am I still doing it? And there were seasons where I'm like, man, I'm not getting the rest I need. I would come back from vacation and not feel rest. I would come back from something. And so I really had to start to take a look at that. And now I'm at this place where he's my rest. And I'll tell you the other tip is it instead of the big vacation, I'm doing a lot of small just time off with family. Because there's so much pressure. It was an article I read a few years ago and it just struck me. There's so much pressure to plan the big vacation. And then you're on the big vacation. You better enjoy it because it's planned and it took all this time and all this money. And then it's such a big vacation. You come back and now you have to dig out. And we still do big vacations, but the priority now is once a month, I take a long weekend. I can do that. I'm an entrepreneur. And so I take a 4, 5, or 6 day weekend once a month. Man, I can't tell you what that change has done.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, huge.
Yanni, I'm going to jump off screen here. I want you to let my audience know where they can connect with you, how they can work with you, anything you want to share with my audience. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, I appreciate it, Phil. I appreciate you having me. Obviously, if you're on the video, you can see this face. Just search most good-looking man in America. No, you won't find me, so don't do that. GratsLLC.com, GratsLLC.com. It's the best way that you can find us. There, our homepage has 3 different sites. So you get to identify who you are. Are you a business owner? Are you in ministry? Are you interested in having me come speak? Click that and it opens up a whole website and a whole world for you to know more about who we are. The other thing I'd want to mention is we have an entire portion of our site, it's probably half our site if you look at pages and size, that is dedicated to free coaching and training. There are dozens of articles on leadership, time management, time stewardship, avoiding burnout, it's at ministry, church, business, it's all there. And so, man, before you do anything else, get to know some of those trainings. There's so many free resources out there, like this podcast. And my last statement is this, Phil, thank you. Thank you for putting something like this together where people can come and interact in a way that they do. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I want to thank you for coming on, sharing your story, having a fun time with me. I had a fun time. I don't know if you did.
I totally did.
Awesome. Good to know. But I did have a great time chatting with you, and I can't thank you enough, Yanni, for coming on the show today.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for watching, and remember to always invest in yourself.